The Supreme Court is the highest court in the United States, and its decisions shape the lives of every American. When the 9 justices make a ruling, it becomes the law of the land, affecting our rights, safety, and freedoms. Unanimous decisions send a powerful message, especially when they touch on fundamental rights. Recently, the court issued 2 major unanimous rulings, Barnes versus Felix and NRA versus Vullo, dealing with the Fourth and First Amendments. The Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable searches and excessive force by police. The First protects our freedom of speech. These cases are about holding government officials accountable and protecting our right to speak freely. The rulings have real-world consequences for you and your community, changing how police are trained and how officials use their power. Understanding these decisions helps us protect our rights and stay informed as citizens. In this video, we'll break down these 2 important rulings in simple terms. We'll explain what happened, why the justices agreed, and what it means for ordinary people in law enforcement. This is a story about the balance of power between the people and the government, and why it matters to us all. The Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures, including excessive force by police. For years, courts struggled with how to judge police use of force, especially in fast-moving situations. Some courts used the moment of the threat doctrine, focusing only on the split second when an officer felt threatened, ignoring everything that led up to it. This made it hard for citizens to win excessive force cases, as only the final seconds were considered. Critics argued this was unfair, as it ignored whether officers' earlier actions created the danger. The Supreme Court has now unanimously rejected this narrow approach. The justices ruled that courts must look at the totality of the circumstances, all the facts and events leading up to the use of force. This new standard ensures a more complete and fair analysis of police actions. It holds officers accountable for their conduct throughout an entire encounter, not just the final moment. The case that brought this issue to the Supreme Court was Barnes versus Felix. Officer Felix shot and killed Ashtian Barnes during a traffic stop after a brief chase. The lower courts used the moment of the threat rule, focusing only on the final seconds and granting the officer qualified immunity. Barnes's family argued the court should consider the officer's decisions leading up to the shooting. The Supreme Court agreed, ruling that the Fourth Amendment requires a broad look at all the facts. Justice Kagan wrote that the totality of the circumstances standard is the correct approach. The case was sent back to be judged under this broader standard. This decision means police conduct throughout an entire interaction is now fair game in court. Officers' reckless or poor decisions that create danger can be part of the legal argument. It raises the standard for law enforcement and provides citizens a more balanced path to justice. In another unanimous decision, the Supreme Court addressed government power to pressure private companies to silence speech. In NRA versus Vullo, the NRA accused a New York regulator of coercing banks and insurers to cut ties with the group after the Parkland shooting. The regulator, Maria Vullo, allegedly used her power to pressure companies, offering leniency on unrelated issues if they dropped the NRA. Several companies ended their relationships with the NRA, fearing regulatory action. The NRA sued, claiming this was unconstitutional coercion and a violation of the First Amendment. The Supreme Court revived the lawsuit, ruling that the NRA's allegations, if true, stated a clear First Amendment violation. Justice Sotomayor wrote that officials can express their views, but cannot use regulatory power to punish or suppress speech. The decision reaffirms that the government cannot do indirectly what it is forbidden from doing directly, censoring a group because of its message. The Vullo decision clarifies the line between government persuasion and illegal coercion. Officials can criticize groups, but cannot threaten business partners with regulatory action to force them to cut ties. The Supreme Court's ruling says the key is whether an official's words and actions amount to a threat of government power being used to punish a viewpoint. In Vullo, public statements, private meetings, and hints of regulatory favors created pressure that left companies no real choice. The court said this kind of pressure campaign is exactly what the First Amendment was designed to prevent. The ruling warns officials at all levels using regulatory power to target political opponents will not be tolerated. It protects not only targeted groups, but also private companies caught in the middle. The unanimous ruling shows that protecting speech from government intimidation is a fundamental American value. These two unanimous decisions will have ripple effects across American society. The Barnes versus Felix ruling means police departments must review training and emphasize de-escalation, knowing all actions are subject to legal scrutiny. For citizens, it provides a stronger tool to seek accountability for unreasonable force. The Vullo decision protects advocacy groups of all kinds from government pressure campaigns, whether environmental, religious, or political. It ensures the marketplace of ideas remains open, shielding groups from being financially crippled by hostile officials. Even religious organizations gain new protections. The government cannot use its power to punish or suppress expression based on disagreement. The ruling also protects the media, making clear that threats against broadcasters or regulatory crackdowns for content are unconstitutional. This helps preserve press independence, essential for holding the powerful accountable. The decisions reinforce that unpopular or controversial speech deserves strong protection. Together, they strengthen the foundation of a free and open society. These two unanimous Supreme Court rulings are powerful affirmations of core American values. Barnes versus Felix rebalances justice in excessive force cases, demanding a full and fair accounting of police actions. This strengthens the Fourth Amendment and promotes accountability, building trust between police and communities. NRA versus Vullo fortifies the First Amendment, protecting all groups from government coercion and ensuring robust debate. The fact that all 9 justices agreed shows the fundamental importance of these principles. These cases set clear boundaries for government power, telling police their conduct will be judged in full, and officials they cannot bully citizens or companies into silence. For Americans, these rulings mean stronger protections in police encounters and greater freedom to express views without fear. These are fundamental reinforcements of our liberty. The Supreme Court's unity on these issues reminds us that some principles unite us as a nation. As these rulings are applied, they will shape America's ongoing story, a story of striving for a more just, fair, and free society for everyone.